The views on this program do not reflect those of ONTV or its board of directors. Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taormina.
Welcome to OAA Now. I'm Sammy Taormina, blogger of the Dragons Insider, blogger of Inside the OAA, and one of the hosts of Between Taorminas on Orion Television. I'd like to welcome those hearing us on the local voice on SoundCloud, here watching us on YouTube Live, and also watching on Orion Television.
We are everywhere, Sammy.
Yes,
and
we are.
Growing. It's pretty funny. We're also on Roku. Did you know that?
No, I did not know
If you
that.
have Roku, we're on Roku. If you have Amazon Fire, we're on Amazon Fire. If you have Apple TV, we're on Apple TV.
Wow.
We are
Hello.
global.
We are global now.
A local podcast going global.
Beautiful.
Crazy.
It's beautiful. You know what we brought back, we need to bring back, and we finally have it brought back?
What is that?
Interviews with football coaches.
Absolutely. That's the best feature
Interview
we
with
have.
coaches. You know what I mean? Of
Yes.
course, and we decided to our first coach bring back is Berkley coach Sean Shields. Coach, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Yep. How have you been doing? How's the family been doing? How's the team been doing?
Good. The boys are getting excited. We've been having our camps on Wednesdays and workouts through the summer. Pretty good turnout so far, and a couple 7-on-7s here and there. And we're pretty excited for the upcoming season.
Talk about, obviously, of course, last season. Obviously, I know you were on the show last year. We talked about the team. You had a 4-0 start. I mean, and then
Red hot.
you were red hot early on, and then all of a sudden you had that 1-3 to close out. But talk about the team from last year. You guys were a pretty young group, but then you were a pretty young group. Enjoying success. Of course, the last few years under you were a combined 4 and 14. So how did last year perform in your expectations?
Well, it was nice to get off to that hot start. In our first 3 games, we allowed 6 points total. We rallied around that, and the guys that have been in the program, what was it, 2 years ago, when I told you we had that issue of, I had 4 kids that had played all 4 years within the program, and now about every kid in the program is started as a freshman and sticking around. So last year we saw the fruits of that starting to pay off with, some of the seniors like Liam Saris, Ian Domslowski, Cody Wrigley, Aaron Sugarman, some of those guys that had been around and paying off. And now the younger guys that are going to be seniors now really helped us out with depth. Was the big thing that we were missing the previous 2 years, to where if someone went down, we didn't have any help. And now last year and this year, those are things that are really, going to build us up to, if something happens, we're okay. The next man up mentality. And it's truly that someone can come in and help out with the injuries. And then once we got, after that 4-0 start, the overtime loss kind of hurt us a little bit. I know we were talking before. That quarterback they had there, Tanner
Zavinsky.
Yeah, I mean he was as good as advertised. It's feel bad for the young man. He got injured during our game and didn't play the rest of the year. But even with that injury, that happened in the third quarter. He still stuck around through the fourth and just led them to that W. And that Rochester was good. They overpowered us. Our strength on offense had been, grind and pound, and we ran into somebody that had a little too much of that against us.
I do want to talk about your offense. Of course, you run one of my favorite offenses in sports, which is the full house backfield. You had 3 backs. You had 3 backs. I know, Ian, you like that type of offense.
I do.
I mean, we've seen a lot of teams that run the RPO, the spread, the power play. Talk about the full house backfield offense that you guys run.
So my offensive coordinator, Paul Stanton, he was my head coach when I played at Bishop Foley. He's an old school guy, in his 60s, and it's let's just line up and see who's bigger and stronger. We're proud of our weight room program, and that shows where we can line up with our big boys and try to pound it down on you. This year we brought in another offensive mind to try to make us a little more multiple too. My JV OC, who used to be the offensive coordinator over at Cranbrook, Andy Fairman, he's going to be helping Paul out this year to help us get a little bit more gun spread look in there with it. But, our bread and butter is that T and the pro I where, we can get the G traps in on guys, lead off with our fullbacks, and just let's run the ball and play strong team D.
When you look at, of course, when you look at you guys, obviously we haven't talked this yet, but program strength, obviously, last season you mentioned this earlier, with program strength. How's the state of the program been for you guys?
So it's last year took a hit, the COVID class, kind of hurt us, and I think it hurt a lot of programs.
It did.
Locally. I wanted to try to keep that 3 levels deal going. Unfortunately, with last year's class, it was just, I think we wound up getting 14 or 15 guys out of that freshman COVID class. Varsity, where we've had, pre-COVID, I'm looking around between 55 and 60 guys on the roster this year for varsity alone.
That's a lot.
No, for us, is
that
huge.
Low? Oh, that's good.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, and then, this incoming freshman class, we're already over 20 kids, and it's July. So we're hoping that, as things start getting back to normal, we can get back to building up those freshman classes and then start having 3-level program again. I know the 8th grade class that'll be coming in the following year. Just with the number at the Steelers, we should wind up having a freshman program in the following season. So team strength and program strength are looking good. It's just, we got bit with the pandemic and it's hurting us this year.
Hey, Coach, Ian here. Talking about the pandemic, what an odd year last year, right? The fall, it's like, are we playing, not playing? We learned so many things. The coaches learned so many things. The families have learned so much. Moving into the new season, has any of that experience carried over into this season, like being, as far as safety and clean and, just making sure you follow the rules? Are there anything that carried over from last season to this season?
Right now, we haven't seen much of an effect. I think everyone's kind of feeling a little relief,
Which is good.
We're feeling a relief. We're going to see, if any new rules or anything come out from, into this year. I spoke with an official at one of Sermo's basketball scrimmages that also does football, and I was asking him, like, hey, are we going to be doing the whole, are you guys going to be spotting the ball again thing? Or are we going to be spotting the ball, And he's like, hey, Coach, I don't know. We haven't had a meeting yet with the officials on that. So, as far as inside the program, we're trying to go back to as normal as possible and get back into the routine that we had before, pandemic and everything. And the boys are appreciating it, and we're seeing it with bigger turnout and everything for our summer camps and all that. So we're hoping we can get back to as close to normal as possible.
Before we talk postseason, I do want to talk about, I know in the weight room you have like championship belts. I mean, like you made championship belts for your kids. How did that idea come?
So that belt is actually from Socorro.
Really, from Chris?
He had that, and it was for our morning workouts. We would do a competition, and the winner would win a belt. I've changed it to our after weight room. Every Thursday, we'll do a competition, whether it's lightning or we'll get the boys in the wrestling room and do like a little mini type wrestling thing, something to get the blood going and everything.
That's
with
awesome.
The boys.
That's awesome. As long as it's not like pure WWE classics.
No. We take little strips of towel, put it in their sock, and they got to try to get it out while staying on all fours. It's something to get the boys competing, have some fun, and then for an entire week. They get to keep the belt and take it around school, or during the summer they get to have the belt.
That's awesome.
I do need to upgrade it though. It's starting to get in a little rough shape after about 8 years, but yeah, it's a tradition that I picked up from Chris, and I loved it, so we kept it going on.
Yeah, Sammy, there's nobody coming off the top rope in that.
No, there isn't.
No. Some of them kind of try to want to, but
Oh no.
Funny.
Okay, now let's look at your team now. Obviously, Zach back at quarterback. You got Henry Pennington at running back. You have Jake Dombrowski. Of course, I call him a combo player. You can put him basically anywhere. So, talk about those three players, in a little bit more detail.
So, starting with the quarterback.
Yeah,
Zach, we brought him up sophomore year after Hunter got hurt. And it was shell shock. I don't know if I told you this the last time I was on. His first game against Ferndale, he's under center. They walk up a Mike Backer on a blitz. He gets a false start because he jumps offside.
Nervous.
He's a little nervous, right? But then it's just been a growth. Him and Ian splitting reps last year, and now he knows he is the man. He's put on 20 plus pounds. I think he's about 195, 196 now, about 6'2". And, during 7-on-7s this year, the biggest thing that I've been impressed with him is his patience. He's letting receivers run open. He's letting things develop. His arm strength has gotten better. We went into it before seeing him play thinking, our run game is going to support him. But now that we have him, we know if we go down by 14 points, we've got a guy back there we can trust to bring us back in a game. And it's a great thing to have. And the leadership he brings is another entire aspect that we love about the kid.
I forgot. Sorry to cut you off here for a minute. You said he was also a twin or a triplet? Mm-hmm.
So he is a triplet. They have there's Zach, the quarterback. We have Ben, our receiver and corner, which actually they wound up connecting on a touchdown in the playoff game against Mott. And then their sister plays volleyball at the school. So yeah, they're triplets there, the Maurices.
Really? I mean, and I know Berkeley's volleyball team's gonna be really good this year. I'm really high on their volleyball team. Over there at Berkley. Yeah. Talk about Henry, of course, the running back, of course, and then of course, you got Jake Dombrowski as well. One guy I'm also looking forward to as well as on defense with linebacker. I think his name is Josh Carson.
Carson. We do not have a Carson.
Oh, really?
No. So Henry is while he is one of our fullbacks, as the defensive coordinator and the depth we have, I'm greedy. If Henry doesn't have to play fullback, he's not going to. He is our main man on the defense. He is, my starting weak side linebacker, and just he's running the whole show for the front seven this year. It's like he and I are on the same mind track. I can get a call into him. He'll get everybody lined up properly. Henry, if we need him to play some fullback, we will. But our main bell cow this year is going to be Brandon Peacher.
Brandon Peacher. I've seen him play.
Yep. He in the T, he got some run in there, but Brandon last year when we went in the gun, caught the ball extremely well out of the backfield. He's got good body control, but he's a bulldozer. And we've gotten that mindset into Brandon of, but you should fall for 4 yards.
Yeah. I've seen him play against Royal Oak. I watched that game on CMN. Of course, CMN has been really, really huge to watch Berkeley football games. And I saw what he did against Royal Oak, which is absolutely astounding. You know what he did? He had a really nice game against them. So I expect a lot from him this year.
No, and that's we're looking at it, and we're trying to be more multiple, but when you know what you're good at, try to go with it. And same thing, I let my OC be a little selfish with Brandon. He could play linebacker for us, but realistically, he should be touching the ball 15 to 20 times a game for us. With our O-line, we're returning 4 of our 5 starters on the O-line this year, and then
That's nice.
The 5th one coming back. got some run for us in the playoffs a little bit, who's going to be playing right tackle for us now this year. With just the line that we have and Brandon as our lead back, he doesn't need to play defense. Henry shouldn't have to play too much offense, and we can keep guys fresh, rotating. That whole deal of program strength, where the more one-way guys we get, we think the more successful we can be.
Talk about Jake, of course. You had his older brother Ian last year. How is Jake developing right now? Of course, I call him a combo guy. You can put him basically anywhere on your team.
Yep, and there's where me and the OC are going to be sharing. Jake, last year I timed him out in one of our games. He took a toss sweep against Lincoln and ran about a 4.40 on that. And then the body control of the kid is the best I've ever coached. I call him our human video game. And he is, Sam, he is. His development's looking good. He played hockey this year, which dropped a little bit of his weight, but we're getting that back up. Jake on offense, he's going to be one of our starting receivers. If we need to bring him into the backfield and try to hit the edge with him, we can. Defensively, he is my, anytime we're going to go split field coverage and I need a singled up man-to-man, he's not the tallest guy in the world, but his athleticism, I'll put him up against a 6'3" kid. His speed, athleticism there, and then he's our return man for everything. Just that Swiss Army knife of anything that we ask him to do, he can do, and he excels very well at it.
Talk about your defense. I mean, you gave me some hints about your defense. Obviously, your linebacking core looks to be one of your strengths. I'm talking about that group. I know you got Henry there, but what about the other guys at that linebacker spot?
So at our in our base 4-2, that overhang nickel outside backer, it's going to be junior Johnny Coleman. He started.
Oh, that's the one I was thinking. That was the one I was thinking.
Coleman.
Johnny Coleman. Yeah, I remember that name because he was the one that took that touchdown back up, picked off Sosinski for a pick 6 last year.
Yep.
That was the one I was remember. So I apologize.
No, it's fine. Johnny is a younger, stronger Jake
really?
Duflowski. He's another. I think we timed him around a 4.5 when we ran 40s a couple months ago. He's doing his 5 rep of 225, and just he's smart. He's a 4-point plus kid. And he's just an animal. He's got a little bit of an asthma problem, which, I've had to coach him into it, and he's very, accepting of.
I know how that is.
But, yeah.
Yep. And it's, he wants to go 100 miles per hour on one play, and then the asthma starts kicking. I'm like, Johnny, we'll take 80% of you for, a series, and that'll keep you on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's with him being a younger guy last year, it took a little bit, but we're fully expecting him to be able to play an entire game on defense for us there. And then the other inside linebacker spot, we've got pretty much another 2-man race there between senior Alex Gadd, who played a little bit there for us, and then junior Nolan Wesner, which we brought up. He's also our starting tight end.
Yeah, I'm really high on Wesner. I'm really high on him at the tight end spot.
He has looked great.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got it in his head about recruiting because, he's only like 6'2" or whatever. And, and I'm like, no, buddy, if you play well enough, we'll find a home for you, and it's whether you're a full-time tight end and play a little linebacker or you do both, it'll be great. But Nolan has stepped up. He looks great, especially at tight end right now. Even when we split them out in 7-on-7s, it's a nightmare for matchup because guys try putting safeties on him, and he's just going over them. Linebackers are trying to keep up with him, and he's just too fast for him. So, we're excited for him at tight end, and if he winds up winning the linebacker spot, I think he and Henry will pair very well together. But he's got Alex there to compete with him, and Alex, again, he's a kid that, hit our 1,000-pound club, worked his butt off because he wants that starting job. So, competition breeds success, and we're going to find out which one of those two guys wants to take that spot.
When you look at you guys, of course, it's nice to have that security blanket there, for Zach, obviously, with Nolan. Nolan, yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Let's talk now let's go to the rivalry games. Obviously, I know last season when you made the playoffs, you played your arch rival Royal Oak. Before we talk rivalry games, I do want to talk about your playoff matches. Of course, you had your game with Warren Mott a little bit last year, where new opponent, new opponent, lack of familiarity. Talk about your experience going up against the Marauders last year.
So that was, we took a beating in that game.
Yeah, I know.
But I think it was a good experience for not just the kids, but the coaching staff as well. And to be 100% truthful, it was a track meet and we couldn't keep up. Their team speed just blew by us. I have Jake out there split coverage, and I watched, one of their receivers run a 9-ball on him, and he's 3 footsteps ahead of Jake. And at that point, it's speed kills. And
I know.
Their team speed, they were very well coached. They were ready for us. Our offense did what we went in their game plan wise to do, ball control, try to keep it away. But once we got down,
it's
by
hard
2
to
or
catch
plus
up.
scores, it's hard to catch up, especially when you are a ground and pound team. And that's part of the reason why we have, another offensive mind in this year to try to help us play that catch up if we need it. But all credit to them and their coaching staff. They have a tremendous
I know
training
they coach
program,
well,
and their guys have got some speed to them, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's if we see them again, we'll have a better plan of attack in the playoffs, and dealing with that team speed is just something that we have to overcome.
Okay, now you're going to be in the blue now. We're going to talk some of your rivalries in the blue. Obviously, now you got the Royal Oak game, of course. A lot of the kids of Berkley Bear Nation, they get a high for. Talk about that rivalry a little bit. You've had a little bit of issue with trophies as of late, when it comes to rivalry at Royal Oak.
Sammy.
Yeah. The curb is retired. And then I got to work it out with Ray over there about I think we agreed on the whole street sign thing, just depending on what it's going to be, whether it's Catalpa and Gardenia or Catalpa and Lexington, whatever it may be.
I like that idea.
That's a good idea.
I like
Catalpa,
that.
Gardenia, yeah, I like that idea.
And it's and we're for it. And the problem is, again, last year we had bigger pressing things on our mind than the trophy of, are we going to play?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to get with Ray and talk to him, see what we can do. And I know you said that, we that it should be at home with Berkley because we got it in the playoffs. But to me, I think the rivalry game is set in the regular season, and Royal Oak still has the bragging rights of the regular season win and the trophy win, which we're hoping to correct that this year. But every year it's the kids show up for Royal Oak and it is a rivalry game and you don't know what's going to happen. There's plenty of years we went in that game really confident and we came away short, the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year we felt like we had a very good program going in there, and it's, it was a back and forth game there for most of it.
It was a really good game. I mean, really look at when I watched that game on CMN, I mean, it was a really good game. End of the day, I think depth was a huge factor in you guys' win against them. You know what I mean?
No, and it was, and I think that our regular season helped us prepare us for that.
Mm-hmm.
Troy Athens game last year where we had to come back from 14.
That was a good game against Coach Keenis' team. That was a really good game down there.
It was, and that was back and forth, but that game there helped us prepare for that playoff game against Royal Oak, having to come back and go back and forth, trade blows. The Bloomfield game where we came up short, again, it was a learning experience for the boys, and to just, get us in a position to come away with that playoff win.
Talk about your other rivalry, of course. Yeah, Ferndale, of course, you didn't play him last season. Talk about how that rivalry with the Eagles has gone, of course. About the co-op program and what Eric Royal's done over there. Talk about that rivalry for not only the players but also the fan base. That rivalry with Ferndale.
Well, I love the rivalry with Ferndale. Luckily the junior and senior class have gotten to experience that here. The two incoming ones don't really know too much about it. It kind of sneaks up on them, but then they realize, when they get to those games that the stands are packed for it. The guys are going after each other. I have a lot of respect for Eric. The games that we've played against them, again, we came up short, but they've been good competitive games. And it's nice to have more than just, that Royal Oak rivalry, to have another one to, say down Woodward, basically. We've got another rival with Ferndale and can battle it out with them. It'll be fun to get it reignited after missing it out last year.
Also, of course, talk about the new team in the blue. That's Farmington. They came back down from the white to the blue. Talk about what the Falcons would bring to the blue division.
It's another one of those cases where a team coming down from the white that struggled, and we've seen it time and time again. They come down to the blue, and all of a sudden they're the ones that win it. We know that they had their struggles up in the white last year, but we are preparing for them just as much as we are for Bloomfield. We know that, or at least myself and my coaching staff realize that if we want to win our league this year, we have to get past Farmington. With Harrison closing, they've got a lot of talent there. I know Corey leaving is something, might have a little bit of an effect, but I think they brought on their offensive coordinator.
Jason Albrecht. Yep. Jason Albrecht. Yep.
Yep. And so, you don't lose a whole lot there when you got a coach from the previous regime staying on.
You don't lose a lot, and then of course, let's talk about your week 1 match, Bloomfield Hills, of course. We know about last year, but now Tanner Zielinski's not there now. Talk about how that is a difference apparent from Bloomfield Hills this year from last year.
Well, that's the deal. We're not quite sure yet who they're going to have under center. But we're expecting to see a capable guy. They've pumped out some good quarterbacks in that program's history.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that I've seen a difference is the seniors this year are pumped up for that game. Mm-hmm. They feel the pain of that loss last year, of the celebration on our field in overtime. The seniors they've got blinders on, and it is focused straight at Bloomfield because they want to revenge that loss last year on our field. But again, they're a bigger school too. They're a former white school that came down.
They were in the red for a while.
You're right. They were in the red, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be another game that we have to be ready for. And I do love that the blue has some strength to it now. It gets us competitive. Like I said, the game with them last year prepared us for the playoff game with Royal Oak, and we're hoping to come out of there with a W. But it's can't be complacent just because they lost.
Tanner,
their stud quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They've got receivers coming back. They've got talent all around. I think boys at Berkley are focused in and want to get back what was taken from them last year.
Talk about your non-conference game at Livonia Clarenceville this year. Of course, This is that's a really interesting game. How did that game come up?
So they reached out to us, and it was between them and Cranbrook. And I just looked at it because, again, I'm not confident with the whole playoff point system. And I said, well, we'll take the bigger school. And watching some of their film, they lost a decent amount of their big boys, but I think they're returning almost every single skill position back. But we're hoping that we'll win at the line of scrimmage against those guys, and we're going out to their house, so it'll be a little bit of a drive. but I think we match up well with them because we have the line that I'll put up against anybody. I've got all the faith in the world in our offense and defensive line to carry us this year. And I think that's where we should have an advantage on them this year.
It's interesting you bring up the playoff system. You know, the point system now. It's coming back, right? I mean, last year, everybody made the playoffs. Sammy and I have gotten into a debate. I really, at first, I was kind of like hesitant about everybody getting in the playoffs because, you know, traditionally that didn't happen. But I thought it was a really good answer to what was going on last year. And I was, in some instance, hoping that they continued on with that because we saw some great performances in the playoffs from OAA teams that would never have had a shot at it. What are your thoughts on
that? I'm personally all for it. I think that it works itself out. And, you know, you saw it with Oak Park last year.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the shining example of it is Oak Park last year. My biggest thing with it is what's wrong with more football.
Exactly.
What's wrong with more football?
Let's let kids have more football. I know the coaches want to coach, and you know what? Hey, if you know, a 9-0 team runs into you know, a 1-8 Oak Park and they lost, well, Oak Park deserves to win that game.
Absolutely.
Right?
Astros points out that question. You know?
I mean, you know, it's
Exactly.
There's like you said, Ian, there's a lot of different factors that went into last year that, you know, messed some stuff up, and especially, again, just going back to the Oak Park thing of they belonged in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
They did. Clearly they did. And is that the case for everybody? No. I know there's some programs that wind up having some matchups that aren't ideal. But if you ask those kids that wind up in those, you know, lopsided matchups, if they would rather play or not play, they're going to say they want to play.
Yes.
Right? So what's the problem with giving kids another week of football?
Yeah, we are on the same page, I'm not so sure what Sammy and I decided between us. For me, I mean, I was really hoping that they would continue on, just for those points that you just mentioned. The kids get to play one more game, right? And we see other teams that you get an upset, you move on. It makes the experience of playing football with your team, your teammates and classmates. You get another shot at it, right? And you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And it's, you know, I understand the old school method of earn your way in and everything, but what, I mean, with everybody being in, you're earning your way to victories, right? So if you go in and you get mollywopped your first game, you know, you deserve to get mollywopped your first game. So, you know, I hope that it gets revisited and we can go to a style of let everybody in, and then let's play it out from there.
Coach, before we wrap up this interview here, any changing with the uniforms? Of course, last year your uniforms was really awesome to see on TV.
Thank you.
That was the best uniform I've seen all year.
Appreciate it. Thank you. The only thing that we may change a little bit this year, nothing drastic, is I've got my coaching staff begging me to do stickers this year for rewards.
Ooh.
I'm not a big sticker guy, but you know, I like letting my staff have some say in some things, and I think the kids would like it too. I'm still trying to decide right now if I like the clean look with the claw marks going through without any of the stickers on there, or if
I actually like the clean look with the claw look. I do like your maroon uniforms and the white uniforms on the road. I really like it. It's a beautiful look with the names in the black. Everything. It's a beautiful classic look.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, we wound up having to order another 10 or 15 jerseys this year just because we want to make sure we have enough for our varsity team. So.
Sweet.
Good. Hey, you know when the numbers are good when you're ordering jerseys.
Yep.
Yep, right. Yep. That's always a bonus. If you got to spend the money for jerseys, something else good's coming from it.
It's a good thing. Got Berkley coach Sean Shields here. Thank you for joining us this week on the podcast.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you at Media Day, and
cannot wait
you guys
for that.
Stay safe.
You too. Stay safe. God bless.
Thanks, Coach. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Awesome.
Yes.
Great stuff from that interview.
Great stuff.
He's always so, accommodating and
giving great info, real depth info on that team. Like you get a kind of a handle on what they're dealing with, and what is it? July? I'm ready for football.
Yes.
I'm ready, Sammy.
I mean, when you look at Berkley this year, when you look at them, I think this is going to be a good football team. I think they're going to be really good. A lot of things I did not know. You know what I mean? I got to redo my article on Berkley a little bit.
He was influenced, everybody.
He has.
Sammy is influenced.
But when I look at the Bears this year, this is going to be, and we talked about this earlier before the interview.
Yeah.
I think the Blue could be down with 3-team race. I really think it could be down between Ferndale, Farmington, and Berkley. Because
I forgot Farmington was sliding down.
Yeah, Farmington's coming down.
That changes the
it does.
landscape.
They got a new coach in Jason Albrecht. I know Jason personally. I'm hoping to get an interview with him sometime. We do the interviews and all that. But yeah, I think it's going to be real interesting because Ferndale, that co-op program.
Yes.
You know what that co-op program does. We know what that they have. And then Farmington, we know they got the quarterback and Dominic Pesci. We know they got running back Jacob Sanders coming back. I'm just a little concerned about that line up front for Farmington, even though their JV program last year was pretty decent.
Yeah.
They were not bad, so I think they would. But we know that JV to varsity usually it doesn't always.
There's learning curve.
There's learning curves.
Yeah, just like Coach Shields was saying, he goes his quarterback coming in when they're rotating last year.
Right, with Zach and Ian Domowski.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of it. Practice is one thing. And then when you get in the game, and like you said, they change something up on you, like, whoa. And it is a learning curve, so the young guys have to learn. But, the coaches in this league they're going to have their guys ready.
Mm-hmm.
And that when they just have a knack of bringing those younger guys up to speed rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a out-of-league game or whatever to kick the tires, but once the OAA gets into gear, those underclassmen are ready to go.
Right. I forgot to talk to Coach Shields about his rivalry with Avondale. You know what I mean?
Oh. How many rivals can you have?
You can have multiple rivals. You know what I mean? You can have multiple rivals. But I know Berkeley's biggest rivals are Royal Oak and Ferndale.
Yeah.
But obviously I wanted to talk about that Avondale one a little bit because I know Avondale's been a team that's
we could always have them back.
We could, or I could talk to him during media day. So I think that's going to be the things that we'll look at, obviously.
But I wanted to share something with you, Sammy. So our listeners who have been with us a long time, you a long time. I'm just along for the ride, pushing buttons and having a good time talking sports with you, Sam. So we are live on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
This is our first YouTube live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Last week's crashed and burned.
What?
I know it didn't work. So this week it's working, and we have 8 people tuned in right now.
Really?
We have 8 people streaming it. So those 8 people who are watching, they got up at 10 a.m. to tune in to listen to us yabber on and listen to Coach. Thank you for tuning in.
But it is on YouTube, though.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's going right out, and it's going well. So, like we said, it's a new thing we're trying to do. So if you want to have your morning coffee or you get into the office, sit around, and on a Monday at 10, you want to listen to high school sports, what's happening around the OAA, you're the guy.
Yes. Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, it's always great having the interviews in. You get a different perspective. We can speculate and talk and guess and have fun that way. That's what fans do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But having the coach in, it gives you a clearer perspective on each individual team, and even down to the player or scheme. Even that was a lot of fun, knowing that they do the stacked eye. But you're like, hey. This is interesting.
I really like it when teams usually go to that offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people these days, a lot of colleges have been going to the RPO offense. I know West Bloomfield, South Anderson Tech runs the RPO offense. You look at teams that run the spread, like Orion Clarkston, Oxford. And then you look at teams that run the I-back. Berkeley, Royal Oak. I know Royal Oak runs that offense. I
Yeah.
mean, like, you can't go wrong with the type of offense he can run.
No, and if every team in the league, or let's say lots of teams are running defensive schemes to stop RPOs or spreads, when you bring together a power team,
That's hard to stop.
right? I mean, because it changes the whole makeup of maybe your front line or the way your linebacker, the way you're using your DBs. It changes everything.
Yes.
Right? You have to have it all kind of bunched up in the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like Coach was saying, that if you have somebody on the outsides and you have that extra wrinkle in the offense,
Mm-hmm.
you can take advantage.
Absolutely.
So, I think it's we call it old school, but I think it's a different scheme to counter what everybody else is doing, and it should reap dividends.
Yeah, I think it'll reap dividends this year for Berkley. I really do. That offense. Let's go now from the interview we got.
Yeah, what do we have?
We got some more football talk about. Of course, we really interesting story brewing this off season. Obviously, we talked about Ron Bellamy leaving Les Bloomfield.
Yes.
For Michigan. Travis Grice now is the new head coach over at West Bloomfield. In-house hire. And now you look at, of course, another legendary coach leaving the high school ranks for the college ranks, and that's Thomas Wiltshire.
Yes.
I mean, I know Detroit Cats Tech's not in the OAA, but this is a really interesting trend. This is a really interesting trend.
Yes.
That you look at college coaches leaving for high school coaches leaving for colleges. What is your thoughts on Thomas Wiltshire being a former Spartan? You know what I mean?
I am not a former Spartan. I'm a lifelong Spartan.
No, you went to school at Michigan State.
I went to Michigan State, but
My
I am
bad.
not a former
I apologize.
Spartan.
I apologize.
I am a Spartan.
I apologize to you.
That's okay.
I
Sam.
apologize. But you got
yeah, it's interesting because Bellamy makes sense.
Right.
You know,
he played at Michigan.
He played there. He had success in the college. That's a natural progression moving, and I'm sure that was his ultimate goal. You get into coaching, you want to get to coach at your alma mater. I mean, come on.
As an assistant under Jim Harbaugh.
As an assistant, yeah. But you're right. We've starting to see this, across the country. We saw a lot in basketball for years, where you have a local coach or AAU coach or whatever brought into a college program to attract the star talent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Bellamy, I think it's, hey, you got a talented coach, and if he's open to it and you have a slot, you try to get as much talent as you can on your staff. I think that's where that is.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I mean, he knows the area. He knows the OAA. He knows high school football. So that is also a recruiting bonus for U of M.
Mm-hmm.
On Michigan State side, they haven't really done this until recently, right? Going down and, strategically pulling high school coaches out of different regions to come to be on staff. One, they didn't have the budget for it.
No.
The budgets at MSU were always pretty restrictive. They were always, working within a certain box of cash, and, salaries are what they are. And with the hiring of Mel Tucker, the floodgates opened of saying, what do you need? It was really astonishing. And so this is kind of the the aftermath of that, where they're looking. But I understand the strategic point of bringing in Cass Tech's legendary coach.
Mm-hmm.
Why? He has connections all over Southeast Michigan, not just the Detroit area.
Right.
I mean, he's been around forever. He's hyper successful. The relationships he has with the students, the players, the faculty, the community at large is just off the charts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is this a coup for Michigan State to get such a well-respected individual up on their staff as a recruiting coordinator or outreach? I think that was kind of the title they gave him. I think it's kind of a coup, and it's trying to mend the relationship between Michigan State and the Detroit area in the football realm.
And we know what happened.
Oh yeah, it was ugly. D'Antonio left.
Coach Mark D'Antonio. Yep.
Yeah, left in an odd way. It was just very bizarre. We had lawsuits from
I know.
And from staff members and players getting arrested for just crazy stuff. And it just a lot of turmoil and just a lot of weirdness going on up there at the end of a legendary run at MSU for D'Antonio. And here you're trying to clean it up. And I think going into the bringing somebody in with a reputation of, you know,
the Detroit background.
Yeah, the Detroit background and the reputation and stuff. And he was in the schools themselves. I think it's a little different. But this is a trend.
Right.
And you're always sitting there going, oh, we're going to see the next really, really solid or OAA coach snatched up by U of M or MSU or,
maybe,
well, heck, Western or Central
or Eastern.
Right?
You know,
yeah,
or Ferris State, you know what I mean?
What are your thoughts, Sammy? What are your thoughts? I mean, it's here. It's been here for a while.
It's been here for a while, but you know, but when you really look at it, if you're a high school like let's say for Coach Ron Bellamy, you know, I know Michigan called him, you know, for him to leave.
Michigan calls, you have to answer the phone.
Yes, but for me, I just think, you know, and I'm gonna be honest here.
You're always honest.
I'm gonna
Sammy.
be honest. You know, when you win a high school state championship like Coach Bellamy did, and you know, you got a lot of talent coming back. You know, I respect the decision he went to Ann Arbor.
Yes,
I do. You know, but
I thought he would hang for a chance to repeat.
Yeah, that I was thinking that too. You know, but he's now, I believe, a safeties coach in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
You know, and I know the rules are very interesting for coaches who leave their high school teams for colleges. I know they can't recruit their own kids for a year.
Directly recruit that school
for a year. Yep.
Which makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because there could be abuses left and right. It's like I hired the coach, and the coach says, "Okay, here's 4 of my starting all-star D1 candidates.
Right,
come on."
Right. So, you know, so I was really happy that West Bloomfield went in house and hired Travis Grice to
Not surprised at all.
No, and I think, you know, the success of West Bloomfield really, you know, and you know, for them to keep it in house, really good decision. For them.
Do you think, I mean, as far as the trend goes, do you think it was your question. Do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing? I mean,
it depends on the situation.
I hope they don't just poach all the really good coaches, because
it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you look at the situation, you know, you got to see if the time was right to leave, or if you have a coach in waiting that's ready to take over.
Yeah.
If you do that, then it's a good decision.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, but if you're not ready to, you know what I mean, then you look at a legendary coach that stayed on for a long time. You know, you look at, you know, like Bob Lancey when he was at Eisenhower, he was there a long time. John Harrington when he was at Harrison.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's been there. He was there almost 50 years. I mean, when you really look at, longevity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be the right decision. It's got to be the right time, right decision for, you know, if you know what I mean, to take a job.
No, and I agree. And it really puts a bad taste in my mouth when you see coaches leave, when you know the year that's coming up is going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen coaches, I'm not going to say names or anything like that, but you see coaches that are like, yeah, I'm out, because they know the all-star class, the once in a generation class rolls through, and
it happens,
and they graduate. You have them, right? And you have hyper success, and then they move on. You're going, I got nothing in the tank, because and they go, I'm out.
And this comes down to program strength.
Yes,
it comes down to program strength, because and this is where,
and I've seen that in other sports. I'm not just talking football.
No,
mainly
I've seen it in basketball. I've seen it swim, dive. I've seen track field.
Yeah, you're going, that's not a good way to leave the program.
And
anyway.
I think, and it comes down to program strength. Obviously, when you look at teams, program strength is a big time. It's a big time concern. There's teams that have it, and there's teams that don't. You know what I mean?
Well, especially if we're talking football still. I mean, it's a pretty big football day we're chatting.
Oh yeah, it is a big
football. And in Berkley, I mean, the way he was talking, it was a year ago or almost a year ago. Last time we chatted with him, with Coach Shields, and saying that the system's in place, it's working, and then injuries hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was, 2019.
Yeah, I remember that year.
I mean, it was like they looked good, and then what happened? And they said, "What? Everybody got hurt." So, I mean, when you have no one on the bench, but now with football, especially in this day and age, kids coming and going or deciding not to play or, changing, that's still there.
It's still there.
It's still there. It's still a fight for these coaches and programs to keep bringing these kids in and finding those kids who love football and want to give it a go. But it's good. We're talking, he mentioned about one of his what is this, receiver or tight end who played hockey as well.
Yeah, Jake Namowski.
Yeah, so, good multi-sport athletes. We love those multi-sport athletes.
That's what I love about athletes.
So you can play football, you can do track and field, you can baseball. Right.
You know what I mean? Everything. I mean, and I think that's I love that trend. You know what I mean? Multi-sport athletes. You know what I mean?
I'm hoping the trend gets back to what it was traditionally at.
Right.
Because we're seeing specialization on a scale.
I know.
It's just ridiculous.
I know, and I'm not a huge fan of
At 4 years old, you're going, I play soccer. And that's it. I go, that's a little early.
That's a little early, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I really like the multi-sports.
Yes,
I mean,
so do I.
because they, you get to know them, not only in football, football, but in basketball. You got other sports like track and field, baseball.
But it also using different muscle groups and mitigates injury, right? It can cut down on injuries because if you're using the same motions and activities over and over again, you're going to have some failure.
Yes.
Right? And you're going to have injuries. So mixing it up is fantastic. And to hear that, hey, Berkley's got it going on. They got multi-sport athletes down there and ready to go.
I think this is going to be a real interesting team. Berkley's going to be a really good football team to keep a very close eye on.
I think I said this after every interview we had last fall with the coaches while we were on pause on the season, that every time we get off the phone with them, I could see why these kids will run through the wall for these guys.
Yes.
Right? I mean, just the enthusiasm and the strength and all that just makes you want to go, yeah, let's go. So the kids got a good one down in Berkley.
They got a heck, yeah.
And I can't wait to see them run through the wall.
I think Berkley's going to be a really good team. I mean, I'm curious to see how Hurley Field's going to look like on Friday nights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's you've seen Hurley Field. Have you ever been down there?
Yes, I've been by. There was some soccer going on, going back to soccer years ago, and I did see the field. Yes,
it's a beautiful field.
It's nice.
Beautiful facility.
Yeah. So hey, what is it? Monday.
Yes. You got other things to cover as well. Obviously,
what do you got, Sammy?
You got some basketball news to cover.
Well, we're at 52.
I got some basketball news to cover a little bit here.
Okay. Any breaking news, or is this kind of just
but it's
general?
outside the OAA, but it could be an impactful for the OAA.
Why not? I get to hit the button once.
Yes, Davison actually hired a new coach, Mike Williams. He comes from Flint Beecher.
Oh.
Of course, Beecher had numerous state titles, including one last year. Now going over to Davison, sets up that rivalry with Grand Blanc. Now it comes down to my next question here. People are going to say about why this would be a big-time hire. It's a good hire for Davison. I really like the hire. But now you look at a possibility of maybe looking at this in the future. You know what I mean? Have you ever thought about maybe because I know the league expanded with Harper Woods. They're going to be expanding with Harper Woods.
Yes.
Do you think maybe the league should take another close look at Lapeer? Because I think Lapeer would be a perfect fit for this league.
Does Lapeer want to come down? So Lapeer.
It depends because.
So who's in the league? Well, it's a
Saginaw
natural
Valley.
fit.
The Saginaw Valley. You got Lapeer, Davison, Grand Blanc, Flint, Carmen, Ainsworth. You got and then you have Saginaw, Arthur Hill, Saginaw Heritage, and then you have Bay City Central, Bay City Western, and then you have Midland Dow.
Okay.
And Mount Pleasant.
Is there contraction with the Saginaws? I something popped up. I don't know. I thought you told me that. I could be mistaken about two of the Saginaw schools combining.
Yeah, they could be combining. Due to
enrollment.
I think they're going to be combining. You're going to be forming a new high school. I think that's next year.
Is it? Okay.
So
that was kind of surprising.
That was really surprising.
Not surprising, but surprising because you have two basketball rivals, right? I mean, it's like Farmington and Harrison, or in that neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, but now when you look at Lapeer, you know what I mean? If you're Lapeer, would you want to go up and play Mount Pleasant on a school night? Or you want to come to a league where you're
go down to
Harper
Woods,
Woods, and that's only maybe hour and a half, 2 hour drive. So
2 hour drive.
Well, they would have to go down.
Well, Lapeer's about what, a half hour from Oxford?
About 20
25.
minutes. 20 minutes from Oxford.
All right, so you're talking from here to about 10 mile off 75, 696 to 94, about 10 mile road. That's about 40 minutes from Lake Orion.
Right.
So you're talking an hour and 20 to get down to Harper.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be really interesting? Think about it. If Lapeer were hypothetically to join the OA, then think about the rivalries with Lake Orion.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the rivalry with Oxford. Think about Clarkston, the Rochester schools.
Yeah.
Heck, even they do have a rivalry with Berkley a little bit in soccer. You know what I mean?
That's true. And you always seem to meet up with them at least once in every sport here in the OA.
To me, I think
it's a natural.
I think Lapeer would be a natural fit for this league. I'd be full supportive if Lapeer were to be in the league. I'd be full support.
But it's one of those things that you come in and you go, oh, do we want to join the OAA and get our head handed to us? But they've been competitive. I'll give them credit.
They've been competitive, also you got to look at Davison and Grand Blanc, what they've been. I mean,
true.
You look at football, they're both going to be very good this year.
Very good.
You look at, of course, basketball now with the addition of Mike Williams over at Davison. And then you bring Grand Blanc, who won the Division I state title this year, boys basketball.
Yep.
And girls basketball, they're going to be very good. Volleyball, you know what I mean? I know Grand Blanc went to the final, to the Elite Eight, where they were knocked out by Clarkston. So I think Lapeer would be a very good natural fit because you see a lot of the OA schools, go up there. So that's a really interesting. I
just don't want to see expansion like they did in the KLAA years ago.
Yeah, but the KLAA,
just massive conference, from Waterford to
the Ottawa Kent Conference is as big as the league.
I don't like that either. Unless you have to due to distance, and that's all you get. Mm-hmm. But I like the size of the OAA.
Yeah, 24, and I'm 24 schools
like
right now.
I like it. It's not too crazy. It's big, and the system seems to be working. The competition is really solid, and the programs are helmed by some of the best coaches around, right? I mean, it's just a lot of fun, and I just don't like the mega conference.
We'll see what happens going forward. I just want to get your thoughts on Mike Williams' move to the new coach at Davison coming over from Flint Beach.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of headlines about it. Could this happen to a team like Clarkston? Could they be paired up with them in a district? That's that was the main question I had. Could it happen? Could they move Clark? Could the MHA move a Clarkston or an Oxford to a district that involves Davison, Grand Blanc, and Lapeer? I mean, they did it with Oxford last year in girls.
Yes, they did. Yes.
And can they do it to Clarkston? They've done it to Clarkston before.
Yes, they have.
So we'll see what happens. All right, now, baby, I'm going to sign off here. I want to thank Coach Sean Shields being on the podcast this week.
Yeah, great ad.
Also, you could take a look at it. We're at SammySemicolonToMe at blogspot.com. We want to look at the blog. Of course, I did release a column on Pontiac new athletic facilities.
Yes.
And also, we got to keep an eye on the blog for updates with district releases and everything. All right, now I'm going to sign off here. Take care. God bless, and see y'all next week, everybody.
Thanks, Sam. OAA Now is produced by Sammy Taormina, and the views on this show are his and mine alone. If you'd like to make your own podcast, give us a call at 248-393-1060 or email us a question. We got one of those.
Yes, we did.
At orionontv.org. ONTV at orionontv.org. That's it for OAA Now. We'll see you next week. See ya!